Good morning. Good Thursday morning, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Give it a few minutes, get some people on here. Hope everybody's doing good. Looks like I got two on. We've been averaging about 10 people per live stream, which, yeah, it is what it is. It's a good start. As I always say, good things take time. Sounds good. Okay, good. Good morning, Dennis. I hope you're doing well, or good evening for you. Um, things are good here. Actually, had a good week. So I know your challenges have been tough to deal with, but like we talked about last Friday, you'll be fine. You'll get through it all. So I'll tell you one thing about around here, guys. The weather's been perfect. It's been really nice. It looks like summer is here, and summer typically is from April to August. And when I say summer, I kind of laugh because to me it's summer year round, but it's just a little bit hotter. It hasn't been as humid lately, which is good. We'll take that. And I've been able to get a lot of stuff done outside. As you know, I did a couple small videos on it. I enjoy working outside. I really do. It's relaxing. It's fun. Get out, get your exercise, all that. As a matter of fact, my wife's out there right now working on the pool. She's skimming the pool as we speak. And then we got some plans today. We got to go to a festival, fiesta later on. Um, Lechen, there's a whole Lechen, and then tonight is disco. Hey, Mark, welcome, my friend. Good to see you here. I hope your week's gone well. I was just telling people here, I've had a really good week, actually. I have no complaints. Things have been going well. That's what we want. And it's funny, Mark. My son, he's leaving to the Philippines. We got his tickets the other night. Him and his buddy here. They're going back to America, and we got tickets out of Manila to New York City for 950. Which I told him, I said, you're still going to have to take a bus from New York to uh, White River in New Hampshire, Vermont, but it's still cheap. My wife and I are looking at flying out. Oh, probably around May. She told me this morning she found tickets May 4th to I think June 1st, and it was 1,100 a piece. So they've gone up a little bit, um, but it's not too bad. I kicked myself for not buying them back a couple months ago when they were like 750. But so it looks like we're probably going to end up paying around 1,100. So given the situation around the world right now with fuel prices, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that because it's a major impact here. And unfortunately, a lot of these companies take advantage of people. They're going to any opportunity they can to up their rates or airline tickets or whatever the case may be. They're going to do it, and that's kind of what you're seeing right now going on. Because I did some research on it, and it shouldn't be this way. It really shouldn't be. Okay. Okay. Dennis says he's probably going to be in long. Yeah, in the USA TSA, he's been calling in and quitting after over a month with no funding, no pay. Airports are in a hot mess, and with the spring break, yeah, no, actually, Dennis, you're right, and they're talking even now about closing. A lot of airports are talking about closing down. This is absolutely ridiculous. You know, they're penalizing the American people over their stupid squabbles. You know, you get elected to go into office to take care of the American people. You know, that's why we put you there. And these poor people working with no pay, they're having a rough time. You know, maybe Congress ought to go without pay for a while and see how that works out. So, and I told my son actually last night, I said, there's no guarantee you're even going to be able to fly out. So, what do you mean? I said, if they close airports, um, you're not going anywhere. I said, they're actually talking about it as we speak now. That this morning I saw some clips on how they're talking about the union for the air TSA is talking about we may have to close airports because they won't have any help. So, and we'll see. But you know what? The good news is if they do close airports, guess what's going to happen? They're going to be funded immediately. So maybe that's what it's going to take. You know, do we have to close airports so TSA can get paid? I honestly think that's probably the way to go. You know, that would the outrage there would be unbelievable. And like you said, Dennis, especially during spring break, it's one of the busiest times of year to travel, other than Christmas times. So we'll see. I mean, it's really not an ideal time for me to be traveling, but I kind of don't have a choice. Number one, I want to see my kids in America, and number two, I need to get my visa stamp. And we've been planning on this for over a year anyway. I could have gone sooner, but I refused to go back there in the cold weather. I'm spoiled now. My son says, "Why don't you just come in February?" I says, "Hell no." And I said, "You guys are getting feet of snow and 10 below zero. I don't want anything to do with that. I want to go back and enjoy myself, actually." God, the other night, it was like 70 degrees here at night, and I was literally cold. I had to go get a sweatshirt on at 70. So, can you imagine if I went there and it was like 5 degrees? I'd be done. I mean, you get used to the weather here, guys. You really do. Don't believe the old argument. Oh, it's too hot in the Philippines. It's really not. You have your days. It gets a little humid, but all in all, it's not that bad. So, I mean, we haven't. I've adjusted really well. Really have. Mark says my niece is an expat in Qatar. Oh, I was just watching clips about Qatar. Actually, they got hit by Iran last night. She was finally able to get out of there this week. Spent the better part of 2 weeks. Oh God, I'm sorry to hear. I'm glad she's out, Mark. They're having a rough time over there. My wife and I talked about going on vacation to Dubai, actually, but I think that's probably not going to happen, at least not for a while. But we're going to America anyway. But one of our on my bucket list was going to Dubai. Right now, Qatar is sending everybody from Iran out of the country as we speak. I just watched a clip from another YouTuber this morning, and he was talking about it because Iran hit their oil infrastructure last night, and you know they're causing all the problems with the oil, and they know it. And it's mostly all the Asian countries. It's all the countries over there. Uh, you you gotta what you don't people in America don't understand. I did some research on it on the oil situation. We are actually a net producer. We produce more oil than we consume. We consume 20 million barrels a day of oil in America. Okay. We produce 22 million barrels a day. So we're actually selling our oil. And anybody that knows anything about economics, at $100 a barrel, which is where it is right now, it was 60 before the Iran conflict happened. So the United States is actually making money on oil. They're making money. There's no shortage of oil in the US. So you're probably asking, well, why are the gas prices going up? And it kind of goes to what I said earlier about airlines, all these oil companies taking advantage of a crisis because, oh, well, there's a war going on over in Iran. We can up our gas prices. There's no shortage in America. There is over here in the especially the Philippines. The Philippines is 105 peso a liter right now. That is equivalent to $7.11 a gallon for diesel here because they don't produce oil here. They import it, and it's really affecting these countries over here in a bad way. And I really feel bad because the people over here, they don't make a lot of money. So whatever money they're making, they got to put it in their gas tank to get to work. So, for anybody in the US crying about gas prices, consider yourself lucky. Go after the oil companies over there that are jacking the gas price. The average price of gasoline right now in America is 3.79 a gallon. I did some research, and back in June of 2022, it hit 507 a gallon was the average price. Okay, and there was no war, so and that was basically the Biden administration shutting down oil lines. We all know what happened when he got in office. He shut down a lot of the oil lines from Canada, and that gave us a supply issue. So we were actually consuming, using more oil than we were producing. So, I mean, anybody knows anything about economics would understand this. I don't want to get too political, but I just kind of want to give you an idea of what's going on. Um, is it going to get worse? I don't think so. I think it's going to go the other way. And when it does, you're going to see probably $50 a barrel for oil. It's going to probably take another 2, 3 weeks. We'll see. But it's tough. It's tough for the people in here in the Philippines. It really is. Keon Jory says, "Yeah, you got a good pool to jump in always." Yeah, no, believe me, I take advantage of that. That's my most valuable asset in the Philippines. If you live here, you really do need a pool. I mean, technically you don't. There's a lot of beautiful swimming holes. There's places to go. One of the ones near me is called Forest Camp, and I don't know if any of you guys have been to Forest Camp before, but it's a natural spring, and it's really cold actually. So, but there's plenty of places. Obviously, the ocean. I'm less than 2 miles from the ocean, but I've only been in the ocean once since I've lived here, believe it or not, because there's really no need. I go down basically just to enjoy it, but I don't usually go in the water. If I do that, I do it at home. So, what's new with anybody? Anybody got any news, any stories out there they want to tell? I hope you all having a good week. I had a doctor's appointment on Monday, and that went really well actually. He looked at all my reports, he looked at all my readings, all my blood work, and he actually got rid of one of my medications. He says, "Now we're going to take you off this medication here because it was for potassium." Um, and now, so whenever you go to a doctor, I was on 5 meds, and now I'm down to 4, and 3 of them are like one's aspirin and one is vitamin Centrum Silver. So those aren't really meds. They are, but vitamins I've always taken anyway. And so the other two, I have one in the morning for blood pressure, and then I have a cholesterol pill, and then I have a pill at night for my blood pressure. So that was good news. So really, all they're doing now is managing my blood pressure, and that was the issue a few weeks back when I had to go into the hospital there. Do you mind if I ask your age? Yeah, no, I turned 62 this past January, so yeah, I'm an old guy here, old guy in the Philippines. But you know what? I'm feeling really good. I'm enjoying my life over here. Um, Part of me is looking forward to going back to America to see all my family and friends, but part of me doesn't want to go. I have really adjusted well here. Um, my son called me the other day. He really wants to come back over here soon. I told him, I said, "Well, you got to calm down a little bit. Just you just had a baby. Um, save some money, continue working, do what you got to do. We'll be coming over." But it's the Philippines is easy to like. Does it have its issues? Yeah, of course it does. There's a lot of different things that we wish were better, but the alternative is, being unhappy, living where it's unaffordable. It's unaffordable in America for a lot of people. The number of people living paycheck to paychecks over there. So, um, it's tough. And I would be the same way if I was in America right now living. I mean, I'm probably working part time. My wife's working full time, and we're living paycheck to paycheck. Now we have savings. Don't get me wrong, but I'm talking about just getting by. We're not saving a ton of money. You can't save money over there. It's tough unless you get a really good job or you're a business owner. So that's what makes the Philippines so attractive. Cayenne says, I am 60, going to be 61 soon, on no meds at all. Good for you. I'm really into fitness, which helps. Yeah, I don't know if you know my history, but I had open heart surgery when I was 59. And it was because I had a hole in my heart valve. I didn't have a heart attack or anything like that. So, and before that, I was on blood pressure medicine. I always have been since I was like 35. In my family, it runs in the family. Okay, so it's always been an issue. So, but that has always been it, is my blood pressure prior to my open heart surgery. But I came through that obviously well. And then I was on a bunch of meds, but now I'm down to, like I said earlier, just four, two of them being vitamins. So things are going well there. But you're right about the fitness. You want to continue to be, active, and that's what I've really concentrated on. And I've mentioned this before, but I've lost over 20 pounds since I've moved here in the Philippines because I'm eating better. And I'm not eating all the crap that I eat in America. The food's really good here. Fish and rice are a staple, and they're good for you. Pork is a big thing here, which I tend to stay away. I mentioned it before. It's not good for your gout, which I get once on occasion. So I kind of watch what I eat. Do I eat bad things once in a while? Yeah, I do. Not going to lie to you. But overall, I'm losing weight. I'm in Northern Australia. Okay, that's on my bucket list to go to Australia. I have my brother-in-law, the one building the house that I've been doing a video on. He's in Australia working, and he likes it. He says Australia's nice, and he makes pretty good money down there. So it's on my list to get down there at some point in time. I just don't know when. I got so many things I want to do. It's crazy. Um, it all takes time, but my bucket list is probably a mile long. But it's important, Don't stop wanting to go places. And yeah, I work part time. Yeah, and that's good. If you can afford to live and work part time, that's the way to do it. That's what I did. I retired at 58, actually, and I worked part time. My wife worked for full time, but she's 10 years younger than me. She's actually wants to go back to work, and she doesn't need to. We have enough money where she doesn't have to go back to work, but you know, she's 52. She's like, I won't say bored, but she wants to continue a career. So we've been kind of looking around. Preferably something online is what she's kind of looking at. Um, Unfortunately, the company she left won't let them work overseas online, but it's unfortunate because she was there 16 years and did a really good job, and the company loved her. But the big shots at corporate said, no, we can't have overseas workers, for whatever reason. As far as on their own independent, they have agencies that they use. But as far as her being independent, they wouldn't allow it. And it's too bad because she was a good employee. She's very smart with computers and all that. She's a computer grad. So we'll see. She told me about a construction company the other night that she got somebody from Indeed contacted her and said, this fits your profile really well because she's all about accounting. So we'll see. It's not, like I said, it's not an urgent thing, but it's more or less her just wanting to be involved in the work field again. And I understand that. I totally do. Fish is awesome. Yeah, I'm pretty fussy. There's only a few fish I eat. I'm a big salmon guy. I love salmon. I love tuna, and I like haddock. And that's pretty much it. And I will eat squid. Obviously, I've eaten that. Calamari. So I've expanded my horizon a little bit since I've been here. But if you offer me a steak or fish, I'm taking steak all day. As a matter of fact, I had an Angus steak here last night, and it was so good. Very expensive though. It was 1,500 peso, which is what, about 27, $28 for the steak. But you know what? Like I told my wife, this isn't something I do all the time, and it was good. It was worth it. I really enjoyed it. I did that. I did some like grilled potato and stuff. It was so good. Now I'm getting hungry again. Once in a while, I spoil myself. I'm in Townsville. Is that you're in Townsville? Yeah, I'm not sure where that is. Not sure. I know when I was in Bethlehem, New Hampshire, before I moved here. So it's going to be kind of cool. Go back there, see what's going on, see some of my neighbors, people I used to live with. I am looking forward to that. Been a year and a half, actually. Mark says property taxes in my area have risen near 50% over 2 years. Wow. Utilities have risen similarly. How's it? Yeah, I know, Mark. I don't know. The young generation, they can't. I don't know how they do it. I It's too bad. I remember when I was young growing up, I had my first house when I was 24. Actually, we built it was a brand new home. I had it built from the ground up, and it was a beautiful house. Actually, my ex-wife still lives in it, and it was just but we could afford to do that back then. We had two incomes. I don't remember what we paid to build the house, but I know it was less than 100 grand. And so today, forget it. I mean, you can't. 50% over 2 years. Mark, that's crazy. Utilities in the Philippines, electricity's expensive, depending on where you are. It's kind of expensive for me. We probably average around $200 a month for an electric bill. And you're probably thinking, wow, that's not expensive. Well, you're right. If you compare it to America, it's really not. And we have a big house. So We have the pool and all that, so it takes extra power. So, but 200 a month, I'm not complaining. We just paid our tax bill. I don't know if I mentioned this previously or not. We just paid our tax bill for the house. Our property tax was $200 for the year. Okay. It's like an electric payment here. So $200 for property tax for the year. I just laughed. My wife said, "What's so funny?" I said, $200. Are you kidding me? We were paying, I think, almost 6,000 on property taxes in America. And it's just like, I don't know. It's crazy. It really is. So I understand, Mark, completely what you're talking about. And it's too bad. But unless you get established career or a business, like in your case, Mark, unless you are well established, it's hard to survive. It really is. Ken says, yeah, with insurance and council rates, we're looking at 12,000 plus a year, in which I think is about 8,000 USD. Oh, no kidding. Wow. Yeah, insurance, that's another whole story right there. The insurance rates, and I know in America, are ridiculous. But it's, I don't know. It was never like this. We need to put the power of the people, their purse, the money that the people make. Give us the choice to purchase our own insurance. Let me make that decision. I don't like it when the government decides who I can buy insurance from, or if I don't, should I be penalized or fined. That's ridiculous. That's socialism in my eyes. But anyway, it doesn't affect me anymore because I'm not over there. But I was never for it. I mean, it bailed me out. My wife had great insurance through her company, and I know I talked about it before, but the deductible was high, but I think it was 6,000 or something like that on my health insurance. But you know what? When you had $500,000 bill, it's a pretty good trade off. So depending on your company, and mine was Cigna. Cigna was our insurance company, and they were really good to us. So I thank God I had them. That's all I can say. All right, Kean says it's a rare day that I don't eat steak. Yeah, well, that used to be me. When you're over here, I don't. The beef isn't the same. This is why I found this guy up the road, probably a mile from me, and he has U.S. beef. Okay, he has Angus beef. So my eyes lit up when I saw that. And I know it was going to be expensive, but I was like, told my wife, let's stop. I want to check this out. And I did. And I saw and had good marbling and everything. And to me, the marbling, I worked in a grocery store most of my life as a store manager and all that. And so I know good meat when I see it. And it's hard to find good steak over here. And it's all about the marbling. The marbling's what makes it tender. If it doesn't have good marbling, it's all really, just no marbling at all. It's going to be tough. It really is. And I saw it and it was really good marbling. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy this. I don't care how much it is. And I'm glad I did. I marinated it. I slow cooked it. And then, my God, was it good? It melt in your mouth. I could literally take my fork and just cut it with my fork. So, yeah, if you find a good steak, and I'm lucky, I'm glad I found this place. I won't eat it all the time, but on occasion, probably a couple times a month, I'll go up and treat myself to one. My wife's not a big steak eater. She was happy with fish. So we stopped and got her fish, and it was like 200 peso as opposed to 1,500 peso. So yeah, I mean, if you like fish, the best place in the world is the Philippines. I mean, you're gonna save a lot of money on food, and it's good for you. It really is. And but for each their own. At 62 years old, I'm not going to change my eating habits that much. I do change. I don't eat as much junk as I used to eat, but if I want a good steak, I'm getting a good steak. That's not going to change. Okay. Mark says, I think I paid 38K last year between property tax utility. Oh my God. Just to keep the lights on is so aggravating. That's 38K for that. That's a decent job for people working. They'd be happy to make 38K doing something. I know, my God, my wife, if she made 38K over here, she'd think she was Elon Musk. That's and that's just in property tax, utilities, and insurance. The only good news here is you get to write it off. So I know when I had my business, I was happy about the write offs. I think I didn't pay a ton to the government because I had a lot of write offs. So that's the good news, but it's wasted money in my eyes. It really is. And, it makes it harder. And people always say, well, up your rates, and it's like, well, there comes a point. I know right now they're having big struggles in New York, state of New York and New York City, where people are leaving the city because they're upping the taxes on people, and it's already too expensive. So people are like, you know what? There comes a point that fine line is there when people say, I'm out of here. I'm not going to pay these rates. And they go to states where they don't have to pay the high rate. And that's what happens. You get to that point, and that's how it was with us. Although we were planning on moving anyway, was always my plan. And I didn't realize the impact on it until I actually got here and couldn't believe how much money I was saving. And guys, one thing about the Philippines, it's a lot more expensive here now than it ever used to be. I mean, it was dirt cheap back when I started coming here in 2001. So, you know, I know you can't compare, but I'm just telling you what it was like. And if I had any kind of money, I should have bought a bunch of property, or my wife. I can't, but it all works out. It's still inexpensive for us here. The biggest thing here right now is the fuel, gas, and I hope that gets situated very soon. Okay, it's crazy cost just to live in your. Yeah, no, it really is. I'm surprised there's not more homeless people out there, given the circumstances on how much it costs people to live. The good thing about America is the wages are good. If you have any kind of skills, you're going to make some good money. You really are. And that's why you get a lot of people from the Philippines and outside the country that want to go there because they go there, they make money, and they send it back home. I have so many Filipino friends in America that we knew, that do that. They go there to work and then they send money back here, and then they're living a nice life here. So I understand. I really understand that. When I'm here and I see the wages, I know in that video I did about the house build, they're making $8 a day for hard labor. You can't you can't work. You don't get an American would make that per hour. Okay, and they're doing it for a day, and they don't even. It's not a big deal. They're happy to be working. Now, the other unfortunate part of that, there's a lot of people here that quit school. They don't finish high school. And typically, those are the ones that are working for 500 peso a day. I just met some kids the other day. They're probably 10 years old. And they're out running around outside the gate by our house. And I said, "What are you doing?" "Oh, we're playing." My wife says, "How come you're not in school?" "Oh, we quit." And she told them, my wife gave them hell, actually. They're not even our kids. She's like, "You kids, you don't know how important your education is here in the Philippines. You really need to go back to school." "Oh, we're probably going to go back next time." But that's normal. I hate to say it, but it's really normal, especially if you get up in the mountainous areas. They don't go to school. A lot of them don't. So when they grow up, they don't have skills. Um, and it's very unfortunate. And I see it all the time. And they get taken advantage of. But, so that's one of the bad things about over here. And nobody enforces it either. In America, if your kid ain't going to school, somebody's going to show up and say, "Well, why isn't your kid in school?" They don't do that here. Here, electricity has went up 64% in 3 years. Yeah, and I don't get that. Electricity is high everywhere. I don't care where you live. And I really don't understand it. And that's why I need to get my solar done. I really do, because why should I be held hostage to an electric company? And in America, solar is very, very expensive. It really is. And so it was never an option for me, especially living in New Hampshire with his more clouds than there is sun. So it's not viable to get solar there, especially during the winter months. And to the cost of solar over there is ridiculous. Over here, it's not. I think one of the estimates I got on doing my house here, oh, I think it was around 7,000 US dollars to do the whole house. So that's something we're looking at, and that way I don't have to deal with the electricity. If there's a brownout, blackout, or whatever it might be, then you know what? So be it. I got the solar, and it's sunny here all the time. It really is. Okay, Dennis, home ownership is almost out of reach these days. That's why I can't wait to retire to the Philippines. Thank God for my low interest rate, and I bought my condo before the pandemic. No, that's good timing on your part, Dennis. And yeah, it is unaffordable. It really is. I don't know these kids today. My kids got lucky. All three of them were purchased their house before the pandemic, and they got good rates. And that's back when the rates were good. It was in 2020 when the rates started jumping, and up to the point where they are now. They are going down, so there is some hope, but it's going to take a while. They don't go down overnight. Um, it's going to take a while for the rates to get down to the point where they can afford to do anything. I think my rate when I had my house was 3.5 is I think is what I was paying for a rate, which that was really good. I was happy with that. But I don't know what it is now. I think it's 8% or something like that. If any of you know, let me know, but I'm not sure. I haven't really been up to speed on it because it doesn't affect me anymore. And my kids are all locked in at good rates. So fortunately, they got set up. And yeah, Dennis, get over here. Let's go. You got a low interest rate. That's awesome. You bought your Where did you buy your condo, Dennis? You may have told me, but I'm old. I forget things. I'm curious because I even thought about buying a condo myself, more or less for an investment, something I could rent out to an expat, down in Dumaguete area. I was thought about a condo for rental purposes, not to move into. Hey, Sean, good to have you on. How you doing, my friend? Sounds like things are going well on your end. It's good that you got settled in. Sean is the guy I picked up at the airport down in Dumaguete when he first arrived almost 2 months ago. And you just got back from immigration, 2 month extension. Okay, good. ACR one card, check would receive in about 3 to 4 weeks. Good, good, good. That's awesome. He's done the right thing. He's textbook. Go watch his channel. Get Live Now. He's recently started a YouTube channel, and he's doing a really good job. He's got a good story, and if you're thinking about moving over here, you should watch him because he's laying out his experience just like I have been, and he's a good guy. So good. I'm glad to hear that, Sean. I knew you'd be fine because you're doing everything the right way. That's how you do it. Just be patient, follow the steps that are laid out in front of you, and then everything's going to be fine. Mark says average first time homeowner in KC is 30. Wow, that's a lot older than I would have thought. That's old. Like I said, when I built my first home, I was 24, 38. That's crazy. Everyone's living in apartments now. Can't qualify for mortgages because all the student loans yeah, I don't. You're right. The student loan mess is another debacle. I got so bad they were forgiving student loans, which kind of pissed me off because, I paid all my kids. We did things the right way. Nobody gave us a break. And, I went to college. I paid my student loan. And so for the government to step in and forgive everything, it's like, give me a break. You're going to forgive my mortgage too, So, but they're strangled by them. Now the colleges, that's another whole deal. That's why my son went to college here at Silliman. He says, Dad, I'm not going to pay 30,000 a year to go to school. I want to go to Silliman, which I think we pay 2,000 a year. I don't know. It's cheap. It's really cheap, and it's a good school. And he's learning. So they're strangling the kids today, and I don't know what the way is out. I really don't. When you're already saddled with huge student loan debt before you even get into your career, you're just pissing in the wind, hoping you don't get wet. I just don't get it. I really don't. Oh, Geo. Good morning, Geo. Nice to see you on this morning. Hope things are going well. Geo says, I'm finally getting to rest. You don't rest, Geo. That's one thing I know about Geo. He's always 150 miles an hour. He's never going to retire. I told my wife that. I said, Geo just is always on a dead run. But that's your way of enjoying yourself, Geo. I know that. If you're not on the move, you're not happy. That I do know. Is down the car at Paint Guy, okay, to fix everything. And yeah, how's the dog doing at the vet? I know you had to have the leg amputated. I feel bad. I know one thing, Geo, that dog is a warrior. It's amazing. I know he mentioned that they had to revive the dog twice. It went in for surgery to get a leg removed, and he was telling me that twice they had to revive the dog. So, but it sounds like things are on the right track now, and that's good to hear. Keon says, this seems to be an issue. And yeah, well, the difference between what I have noticed and what I've experienced here, the difference between Asia and these Eastern countries here, as opposed to the West, is everybody in the Western, not everybody, but most people in the Western countries live above their means. They spend money they don't have. And guys, I was guilty of it too. When I'm younger, in my younger days, they live above their means. And then, I can get credit card. I can max my credit card out. I mean, I learned that lesson. I know I told the story, but back in 2014 is when I said, you know what? It's time to get rid of all this debt, credit cards, everything. If you need to use a credit card, you can't afford it. It's basically the bottom line. Now, we do have a card. We use our credit card for purchases only. Like the other night, my wife bought the airline tickets for my son. And then we use the credit card and we get award points and all that, but then we pay it right off right then and there. We basically have it to travel with. When we go to America, we'll use it and then we'll pay off the credit card within the month. We don't let it accumulate the interest. I think the interest on credit cards, last I knew, was 18%. Um, I don't know. I think ours is like 9% or something. I don't know. I honestly don't because we don't use it. But the West lives way above their means. They really do. I mean, we got to have the best of everything. And it's not like that here. People here are not like that, not in the Philippines. Now, are there some like that? Yes, there is. Don't get me wrong. There are people here that live above their means. I know of a couple of people here. You can get short-term loans here for like 2,500 peso or 10,000 peso. And then you can just, pay it off. And then I think they pay it back at 500 peso a month or something. But I know this one particular person's got four different loans. They're taking loans out to pay loans. Okay. That's the kind of trouble that you can get yourself into if you're not smart about your finances. But you're right, it is a big issue in the Western countries. Geo says, does he have better steaks? And they're probably the same. I mean, it. I thought it was better. Honestly, I did have a steak at Belcrest, but this steak I had last night, Geo, was the best steak I've had here. I'm not gonna lie, it was the best steak because of the marbling, like I explained earlier. So, I mean, the ones at Belcrest are good too. Don't get me wrong, but this guy, I think it's RM&E. It's right beside the old DC Bakery, Geo, right up in Valencia. You know where the old bakery was? Now they're in their new location. It's right in that area, pretty much right beside where that bakery used to be. Um, yeah, so when I get another steak, that's where I'll be going, no doubt about it. Geo says, I seen the gas prices on the way to the vets. Well, yesterday when we went down to Dumaguete, the last I saw was 108 peso. And I think that's probably where it's going to peak out at. Um, Before the gas price doubled, it was 53 peso per liter before this Iran conflict hit. And it's because they don't have oil reserves here in the Philippines. They don't have strategic oil reserve. They do, but it's not much. I think the last I saw it was like for 1 month. They got enough to supply 1 month's worth of oil. So something needs to happen soon. And when you go by these gas stations, you'll see 20, there's people lined up on the side of the street to get into the gas station down at Petron, down in Dumaguete. And then there's a lot of gas stations that are out of gas right now, actually. We filled ours up. We filled our truck up, about a week and a half ago. And when we filled it, it was 65 peso. I told my wife, we need to fill this thing now. And I'm glad we did. So, okay. Geo says 100 105 per liter for diesel and gas was, yeah, no, I'm hoping it's peaked out now. So we'll see. It's all about supply. They talked about suspending the gas tax here in the Philippines too to give people a break. I mean, it's not a big as deal for somebody like me. It's not going to break me. I hate spending the extra money on the fuel. Don't get me wrong, but it's the one. It's the Filipino out there making 500 peso a day. Okay, and you have to go fill up your motorbike, and it takes 300 peso. Okay, those are the ones that I feel really bad for, and they should suspend that gas tax because they need the help. Okay, the um, the local people around here need the help more so than I do. I don't care one way or the other. Dennis says, I have friends I've known for 40 years and they are living off disability. Wow, that's too bad. They've had to let out their bedrooms and live out of the bedrooms and basements. To all what they do, they rented it out to others to pay the bills. I think that's going to be a lot of these days. Yeah, no, people are. You're right. You're seeing a lot of people. I have friends. Actually, he's a Filipino guy living in New York City. They have 8 people living in the apartment. It's all Filipinos. It's only like a 3 bedroom apartment, but I guess the rent's like 4,000 a month in New York, and so they get like 8 people living in there because they can't. Who the hell can afford? I don't know if it's 2 or 3 bedroom, but whatever it is, who the hell can afford 4,000 a month on an apartment plus your utilities? That's now granted it's New York City, but I mean but what it's done is yeah they all have to live together. And you're right, it's unfortunate, but you're seeing a lot of that take place. Um, the good thing is, you don't see that over here. You see families living together, but that's always been the way it is. Families here, a lot of them don't even leave home. My wife never left her family until she was 26. That's when she met me. But a lot of them stay right together and they go and work and you know, they all survive together. In America, I know tradition is when you're 18, you're out of school, you move out. Now, that's just the way it is over there. It's more independent. Um, so we're kind of lucky to have our son still living with us, actually. And it's because we're here and he's going to school here. So, yeah, good for him. He's smart because he's not going to get himself saddled with student loan debt. We pay his college tuition in cash. We don't finance it. But if we were in the U.S., we would have to pay. We couldn't come up with 30 grand a year to pay for college education. That's crazy. All right, Geo. April 8th, going to meet with the owner of the land. Okay, good for you. That's awesome. That's a really nice piece of land. Geo's in the process of buying land, and him and his significant other, they're in the process of buying land, and he's looking at 1,000 square meter right now, and then down the road he's going to purchase another 1,000. But it's a really good deal. I think he paying 300 per square meter, which is ridiculous. If you can find anything at 500 a square meter over here, you better grab it. So to get it at 300 a square meter, even if you don't use the land, Geo, it would be a good investment, something that down the road you could turn it over. Because that's kind of what I'm looking at. That's why I thought about a condo. Um, I'm kind of going to wait it out because I have a feeling the housing thing over here is going to, there's a lot of condos here. And I think what's going to happen is you're going to see the prices start to really go down. And when they do, I might jump in and grab one for rental purposes. Investment, it's good. We've got other property here. Actually, it's part of our family, but we've been allotted. I don't know how much land we've been allotted, but we've been given some land here, and I don't think we'll ever do anything with it. But her mom always bought a lot of property. She invested what money she had right into property, but it was cheap back then. Gio says Vicky's papa is doing the lawyer as we speak. Okay, Good. Yeah. The biggest thing's the title, making sure, yeah, get everything, all your ducks in a row before you give them any money. That's the smart way to do it. And anybody out there that's looking at property here, make sure you, first thing you do is get a lawyer, get the title checked on, make sure it's legit. Stay away from that mother title. Yeah, I'm getting ready to bring XO to you and mom. Okay. She's like, no surgery. She's down. Go, go, go. Excellent. 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 That's good news. Yeah. And then just stay put. Don't go anywhere, Geo. Sit back and relax for a while. Okay. It's where we used to, but yes, it's exactly. It's right pretty much beside it, Geo. Um, try it out. I think you'll like it. He's got a decent supply of meat. He's also got pork and all that there. Sorry, I got a dry throat. I always get a dry throat here in the Philippines, especially after I talk a while. Dries it right out. It seems to be normal here. My wife gets the same thing. It's just the weather. And Geo says they enforced the 4-day work week here yet in the Philippines. Was saying they were. I didn't. I kind of heard about it, but I don't see how they can do that. I mean, what are they going to do? Up their daily rate? Because I don't know. I'm not sure how that's enforceable. You're penalizing the people that want to work, actually. I know, like in the instance where my brother in law is building his house, they can't enforce that. They can work 7 days a week if they want to. So I don't know. I don't know that much about that. If they start doing things like that, that's going to hurt the people. You got people out there willing to work, let them work and make money. It's not like they make a lot of money. So when they get the opportunity to work, they're going to work. And that's how it should be. I mean, the government should never tell people how many days they have to work or can work. Um, that's when you start losing freedoms. I worked pretty much 7 days a week when I was in the U.S. When I had my business, I finally hired somebody to work 2 days for me. But that was my choice to work 7 days a week. Now they weren't always. Two of the days weren't long days. They'd be like 4 hours. Probably an hour and a half of that was driving time. So it wasn't like it was strenuous, but it takes you out of the house. I kind of miss those days when when I owned my bread business. I really do. The money was really good, and I didn't mind. I enjoyed the business. I really did. Now I started my day at 12:30 in the morning every day. I'd start at 12:30, but you know what, guys? I'd be done 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm going home. I'm heading home 8, 9 o'clock, and people are going to work. So everybody says, "Oh, how can you work those hours?" You adjust. Your days are different. That's all. You're in bed earlier, so that doesn't bother me. And you should have that opportunity, that choice. Geo says, yes, 300 per square meter is the only thing. I'll be like 1 hour and a half. Yeah, I saw where you are. It's on the way to Bacolod. We went right through there. I know exactly where you're going to be. It's not yet right past Bias City. Yep. The way 3 hectares. Okay, that's a lot of land. One signature. That's the key right there. Is the one signature. Quite often, like in my wife's case, if they were ever going to sell off that property to somebody outside the family, she would have to get 12 signatures. Okay. Now, all it takes is one to say, no, I'm not signing. and you can't get the title. You can't. It's not a clean sale. Unfortunately, that happens a lot over here. It really does, and you got to be careful. So the one signature is very good. Yeah, I would. I'd grab that in a heartbeat. Um, it sounds like you're all set. They're gonna hold on to it for you. Just get your paperwork in order and go, and you can spend time up there. Get yourself a kubo up there, and then you can go ahead and just hang out and enjoy. It's a beautiful view. I watched your videos on it, and the view is beautiful. And you guys, you can follow Geo if you haven't already. Philippines Traveler. He's got a video on the property that he posted, and it's up in. It's got a nice overlooking view. Um, and it's got cement road right to the property, which is a big deal. That kind of surprised me being where it's located. Cement, the road to my house is horrible, and I'm in a nice subdivision. So I would kill to have cement. Now they're supposed to cement here, but they haven't done it yet. So we'll see. It's been a year and a half, but things take time here in the Philippines, that's for sure. They say they're going to do it. That doesn't mean it's coming soon. And now I talked to a guy, he's actually in charge of the project at the airport, the new international airport up here in Bakong. And he's going to be in charge of everything. And he told me that they're going to break ground this year on the airport. So I said, good, because I asked him. He asked me where it's from and this and that. And I told him, he said, oh, so you're going to be close to the airport. And I said, yeah, I'll believe that when I see it. They actually build it. He starts laughing. I said, what's so funny? He says, I'm the guy in charge. I said, oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to insult you, but I know how things are in the Philippines. I don't want to be insulting about it, but a lot of times they will say things are going to happen. It doesn't happen, or it happens 10 years later. And he told me, he said, no, they're going to break ground. We're breaking ground this year in 2026. So that's good. That was good news. And once that airport comes in, that changes everything. That really does. It'd be awesome to fly. I won't have to go to Cebu. I won't have to go to Manila to fly out of here. I'm basically 2 miles away from where the airport's going to be. So I'm looking forward to that. Not to mention the fact that the airport, when it's done, is going to really help the economy around this whole area. It's going to bring in tourists, which, it's a double-edged sword. It can be good and bad at the same time. There's already a lot of expats, and it's going to bring more expats. Now, is that good or is that bad? It depends on who you get here. You get guys coming over here that think they own and run everything. It's not going to be good. But if you have people that come over here, fit into the society, and don't try to be jerks, okay, welcome them. But it can be bad. But it's going to bring a lot of money, and the money is what they need. And my wife talked about doing a restaurant type thing. And like I said earlier, she's 52. She still wants to work. And I said, that's fine. I said, I want nothing to do with it. I'm done working. I spent too many years working. Okay, Geo. Say hi to Vicky. Okay, you guys chill out, relax, enjoy yourself. But yeah, anyway, she talked about opening up a restaurant type thing. And I'm fine with it. If that's what she wants to do, go for it. Um, I don't care, but it's probably a good idea. And by the time the airport's built, I'll probably have sold this house. That's my plan. But this property is going to be prime property for anybody that wants to buy a good piece of property with a bed and breakfast on it. The bed and breakfast will be busy all the time. So it'll be a good investment. when I get ready to sell. Dennis says, is your wife a good cook? Only thing my wife, no, my wife's a great cook. She really is. It doesn't matter what she makes, American food, Filipino food. She's a very good cook. That's part of the reason I got my belly. So it's not the only reason, but that's part of it. She made some sweet and sour chicken the other night that was like I had to go back. Usually I don't eat seconds. It was so good I went back for more. She said, "Oh, it must be really good, huh?" I said, "Oh yeah." I'm typically take I don't eat seconds. No, I cut that back probably about 3 years ago. So when she saw me go back for more, she was like, "Oh, it must be really good." I said, "Yeah, it is." So, but yeah, no, she can cook. She'll do well. She does a lot of things. She bought, I told her the other day, you know what I really miss from America? She said, what's that? I said, potato skins. And she says, oh, okay, let's make some. And we had a hard time finding sour cream. And we finally found some down at Robinson at the supermarket. And I said, what's that? She said, sour cream. I said, okay, good. We're going to have potato skins. And it's hard to find good cheese here. But what we do, guys, is we buy the cheddar, the blocks, and we shred it ourselves. Most of their cheese is imitation. And if you find real good cheese, it's very expensive. I like cream cheese. It's expensive here. So she hasn't made them yet, but we're going to have potato skins, and I'm excited about it. That's one of the favorite. When I used to go to 99 restaurant, I would first thing I do is order their potato skins. So good. Gio says, if you come to the Philippines, learn to fly in it. Yeah, no, exactly. Try not to stand out of the crowd. And that's what I try to do. And that's probably why my YouTube channel, I'm struggling to get subscribers because I don't go out there on the edge. I'm not doing crazy videos like that pro-life traveler guy. I try to stay within my own boundaries. Um, I'm not a shock jock kind of guy. So, but I fit in well with the people here. I have a lot of good friends. I have a lot of good relationships with Filipinos and other expats around. So, but that's good advice, Gio. It really is. Just come over here, fit in, and you won't believe the support you're going to get. I get a lot of support from everybody. Like today, I got a phone call this morning from Karen. Karen, she's the barangay um, captain up in Lipton. She tried calling my wife, and my wife wasn't answering. She says, "Tried calling your wife about the festival tonight, fiesta. I want to make sure we sponsored the event, so she wants to make sure we come." And I said, "Oh yeah, my wife's sleeping. This is like 8 o'clock. She usually goes to bed late, sleeps in, and I'm the opposite. 8 o'clock at night, I'm in bed and I'm up at 5. So she called me and says, "We want to make sure you guys come and you're the sponsors and this and that." I said, "Don't worry, we'll be there." But we have good relations with all of the people around us, and they always want us included in whatever we do, and we always help them out. We give them a donation or whatever the case may be. And it doesn't have to be a lot of money. If you give a donation to like this event we're sponsoring tonight, I don't know what we gave them, but it wasn't a ton of money. But it's the gesture that matters. That really helps. They appreciate it. They really do. They appreciate everything you do for them. And they'll tell you numerously. They're going to come out and say, "Yeah, we really appreciate your support." Well, and you give them. I think for Christmas we gave them like 5,000 peso, and it's about $80 American, and that's a lot of money here. It really is. So quite often we donate to these different things, and then we buy stuff. If there's like during the last session, I bought probably 4 or 5 crates of beer for all the guys that worked to, put the festival together. That's stuff that's an extra for them. Okay. They don't spend the money on that kind of things because their priority is to eat. So when we get together and do things like that, they really appreciate the support. Gio, I thought you were leaving. You're crazy. California cheese is sold at Hypermart. Yeah, yeah. I buy the pepper jack. Yes, I've also purchased that there too. It's very good, and quite often we shred our own. But now I'm getting hungry. Talking about food, I need to make another trip to that bakery. We got a bakery up in Valencia that has the best bagels. They're unbelievably good. Their bakery's awesome. They have a restaurant with Geo. If you're up there, try their sandwiches and stuff. They have food there. I'm telling you what, it's very good. It's a great bakery. I've been there like 3 times. I think I had a pesto chicken sub the last time I was there, and it was so good. But yeah, there's a lot of good places to eat, and that's the other problem. It's the whole Western culture has really hit this area much more so than it used to be when I first came. You weren't going to find places like that selling bagels, subs. There was no Philly cheesesteaks back in the day. Okay, that was a dream. All right, now um, there you can buy good burgers, cheesesteaks, whatever you want everywhere here. A lot of the Western food is has made its way here. Now, is that good or bad? I think it's good. It really does because there's a high expat population, over 5,000 expats in Dumaguete alone. So, they're catering to their money, and that helps the economy. Gio says, you make Filipino friends here easy. Yeah, and they are the best friends, and they will. Yeah, no, they do treat you like family. You're right. And believe me, they take care of you. Whenever I go anywhere, my wife and I, they make sure you got a seat. No, they want you to eat first. They make sure you got beer or whatever it is you're drinking. For me, it's beer only, but they like Tanduay. Tanduay is big here. So I'll buy them a couple bottles of Tanduay and they're all happy. So, but they do. It's you first. They take care of you first. And I'm not like that. Whenever we go to eat, I always tell them, so no, you guys go ahead. I'm the kind of guy that will wait until they're done, then I'll go eat. I don't like to be the first one. When we go to events, they make sure our table's reserved. They do take care of you. And it's totally different. It's not like that in America, not in most cases. I mean, yeah, there are events where that happens, but usually your table's reserved, if it's a company function or something like that. They just take it upon themselves here to take care of you. So, well, guys, I think probably going to wrap it up. I'm starting to lose my voice, actually. I got a dry throat. Um, Gonna go see what the wife's up to. We got a bunch of running around to do before the fiesta tonight. Dennis, uh, yeah, we'll be doing another members stream soon. Okay, so you can update me on everything that's going on with you. Um, I got your email. I responded back to you. I appreciate you reaching out to me. I really do. And I appreciate your support. I really do. You guys, all of you, for being here. I don't get a lot of people, but it's always the same crowd, and I really enjoy having you guys and talking with y'all. Gio says, make a trip. Yeah, Gary's. I've still got stuff in my freezer, Gio. We had some the other morning. I We went to the restaurant too when that was open. It's too bad he closed it. That was awesome. That place is very good. Um, but yeah, Gary's Biscuits, Gravy, and Sausage is awesome. It's up in Valencia. It's kind of hard to get to. At first, I got lost, but then we found it. Dennis says, we'll have more news Monday. Okay. We'll keep you posted, Brian. All right, good. I'll pray for good news, Dennis. Um, Stay optimistic. Everything will work out. Larry says, have a good day. You too, Larry. Thank you very much for being on. I appreciate your support. Appreciate you being on. Um, so, guys, we'll do the same thing next Thursday. Hopefully, by then, we'll have good news about gas prices here in the Philippines. I think you're going to see a change between now and then for the better. So, let's hope and pray for the people here that does happen. And I really appreciate you guys again. Thank you. Before I close out, I am going to be interviewing my wife. I'm going to do an interview with her so you guys can get to meet her more. The one that keeps me going, she keeps me ticking. So I'm going to do an interview with her at some point. And anybody else, I know Gio's interview went well, along with his significant other, Vicky. That was enjoyable. Anybody else wants to do an interview, let me know. And we can do that. I'll sit down and talk with you. Gio says, okay, I'm going to cook now. Yeah, I'm going to go eat too. I'm starving. I talked myself into being hungry. Just not sure what I'm going to eat, but all right, guys, that's it. Thanks a lot. Have a good night, a good day if you're here in the Philippines. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.